the AFCON game between Cameroon and Gabon, oh boy, it felt like the best of the best was saved for the last because this match was just something else. Right from the start, this is a game of two neighboring countries, which means there'll be some rivalries between the two of them. And the coach of Cameroon, who had already made a lot of big calls in the call-up for the AFCON, made other big calls even in the starting 11. So a very brave starting 11, handed a lot of players starting positions, players who don't normally start, handed a lot of them starting roles. And right from the selection of even the captain, you could tell the imprint of the team, of the coach on the team, because he mentioned that he's the son of a military man. He's all focused on discipline, hard work, and everything. And he goes to Nouhou Tolo as a captain. And what a performance from nowhere, especially in that first half, where he literally chased down Royce Openda of Gabon throughout that first half, denied him almost no space to breathe in that first half. But for Gabon, they also had to start the game without Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and also Mario Lemina, all due to injury. And to an extent, it feels like it took a tone out of the intensity with which they attack, especially from the start, and also the confidence of the team, because the start for Gabon was not really all that great. Cameroon dominated from the start and scored the first goal as early as possible. And one thing I would like to sort of highlight on that first goal Cameroon scored was that the two players involved in that goal were all playing their first AFCON. Bryan Mbeumo was not at the last AFCON. He was injured, so he didn't play in Cote d'Ivoire in 2023. Then Etta Eyong, the man who scored the goal, he also was not even playing for the Cameroon senior team as of then. So two players playing their first AFCON, and within the first few minutes of the game, they combined perfectly to beat the offside trap and then get the first goal for Cameroon. I think it was just a perfect play for Cameroon. But then a few players on the pitch who really impressed me, especially from the Cameroon side from the first half. And I have to highlight Bryan Mbeumo. I mean, I think he's in a class of his own. He's in a level of his own because his decision making was just top notch. Many times you've seen a lot of footballers, especially here on the African continent, they do so well. They get into the final third, and then they just mess up. They just mess up the decision. Either they give the wrong pass, they take a shot instead of shooting, they try to dribble instead of giving a pass. But the decision of making of Mbemu was just top class. I mean, the goal he created, the goal Cameroon scored, it was an assist from him, timed the pass perfectly, and laid it off to Carl Etta Eyong to score that goal. Even in that same first half, he created an opportunity for Cameroon's right back. Perfect pass. Like he put it on a plate for him to score. Unfortunately, the player ballooned the ball into the end. A couple of times he was on the ball. There was no other option. There was no option. So he even took shots from outside the goal, which ended up being a dangerous attempt. So I was like, wow, this is world-class decision making. Then Danny Namaso, who I think he had an okay game because on the ball, he was unbeatable. I think he also was very intelligent on the ball, especially with his decision making, was so much on points, played the passes at the right moment, played the long balls when he needed to play them. It was all perfect, but the bats on his performance was on the sort of aggression in the middle. He was also playing his first AFCON, and this is a player who previously was playing for England youth team and switched to play for Cameroon just was it last year or this year? I'm not so sure on the timeline, but either last year or this year. So it's his first Africa Cup of Nations. He was facing a midfield of Gabonese players who have been playing in the AFCON since. So there was Andre Poku, who has been playing for Gabon since 2010. He understands African football, plays like rock, heavy metal football in the middle. Then there was also Didier Ndong. I mean, Poku and Didier Ndong in the middle was too much for him to handle, and he was completely bullied in the middle of the ball. So in terms of challenging for the ball, he was bullied and he lost, I think, about 12 duels, like completely bullied off the ball in that middle. And it was no surprise that he had to be taken off because despite him being good on the ball, without the ball, he was a subtraction for Cameroon, especially for Carlos Baleba when he left the middle of the pitch with an injury. after the first half. And I think that would be a big concern for Cameroon because with the Baleba on the pitch, Cameroon had a bit of control for most parts of the first half. But then from the second half, it's like the game just slipped away. It slipped away from Cameroon. It was all Gabon mounting pressure after pressure. And that pressure from Gabon started right from when they made this substitution, bringing on Mario Lemina and also Pierre Aubameyang around the 30th minute mark. And that change completely changed the game because after the change, it feels like Gabon had a new type of confidence. They attacked with more intensity. They threw a lot more men forward. They played their ball swifter. And that's why I felt maybe those two men not starting took a bit of the confidence, not the quality, but then the confidence out of the Gabonese side because they have always had the quality. They've always known how to play against strong opponents. So it was no surprise Gabon came chance after chance. But another man who I think was so impressive for Cameroon has to be the goalkeeper, Ipasi. I mean, made a couple of world-class saves, like very good saves which ordinarily he should have been beaten. He stepped up and denied conceding those goals and was part of the reasons why Cameroon kept a clean sheet. But for David Pagu, the coach, I think he took a big risk in his very first game. It worked out perfectly for him and made some big calls, worked out and got the first victory of the AFCON. And this victory is so important because one, it gives confidence to himself as the coach in trusting his decisions and then the players that he's going to play. So even the players who were trusted, it gives them an extra bit of confidence because they play Gabon, who are one of the most informed teams on the continent now, and then they didn't concede but also won the game. And it also gives the players who are on the bench that the know-how to know that, I mean, they are competent replacements for you. So if you do not give your very best in training, if you do not play to the satisfaction of the coach, you can always be replaced. And I think it was also important to send that message, and that victory sends that message directly to the players also. But more importantly, it feels like this is how teams actually win the AFCON. This is how they win it, when they make some tweaks, drop some key players, make some tweaks to the 11, and then you see the players who are starting literally fight for 90 minutes, led by a captain who is a fighter. I know Nouhou Tolo did that the whole 90 minutes. He literally fought for his team in the game. And I think Cameroon will be dangerous. Initially, I predicted this AFCON might not go so well, but then after watching the first game, I think they are one of the teams who might be dangerous, like dangerous in this AFCON. Not because of the quality, but because of the spirit and the fighting chance of this team. This is how the AFCON is played. This is how the AFCON is won. And they will really be dangerous. But let me know your thoughts about this game as Cameroon won their opening game by 1-0 against Gabon in group of the AFCON. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.